Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Galactic Mystic. I'm your host, Candace, and today I have a wonderful, beautiful guest joining me today. I have my lovely friend Keshia here, and we are going to be diving into ancestry magic, ancestries in general, how they mess with us, how they uplift us, maybe the signs and synchronicities. And honestly, I just wanted us to have like a girlfriend kind of chit chat. So if you guys are open to hearing our episode, then sit back, relax, get some coffee or some tea, whatever fits your vibe for the moment. I was gonna say whatever tickles your pickle, but that's probably not what people are expecting to hear. But anyway, welcome Keshia to Galactic Mystic. I'm so excited for you to be here.
I am so excited. I have been waiting for this moment, and I'm so glad it's here. And I'm so happy for everyone to tune in and to listen and to get all of this guidance because it's needed, I promise.
It is absolutely needed. Okay, I want to talk about, for one, I just want to say thank you for being on the podcast because you're just an inspiring individual woman that I have looked up to and like just got inspired by. Like 2 years ago, I think when I first met you or saw you on Instagram, and I was just like, she's amazing sauce. I just want to get to know her. And that's when I first was doing Blooming Luna, and I wasn't really doing too much of tarot readings, but I saw your page and you were doing tarot readings and you're just being yourself. And I was like, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get to the point where I'm doing that, but still talking about the moon, because I think that's also how I found you, is that you were talking about the moon. And I was like, yes, another woman that looks like me that is talking about the moon, but then also using tarot. Like, that was amazing. It was a very rare. I mean, like, yes, I saw women like us talking about tarot, but not necessarily about the moon too. And so that's kind of like how my vibe found you. And after that, I was just like, I have to like just at least follow and like show my support. And then the friendship over just grew over that time. So I'm just really grateful that we're here in this moment. Who would have thought
Yeah.
2 years later we'd be sitting down on a podcast talking about ancestry work and things like that. I just think like how the universe works is pretty cool in that aspect.
Yes, I so agree with you. And I am so glad that I found you. It just was an energy that I knew that I needed. And I feel like the number one compliment you can get is, I love that you're being yourself. And that is something, especially in the Black community, Indigenous community, any minority, it's hard to just simply be ourselves because we've gone our whole lives not being accepted. So, discovering ourselves, especially being a spiritual woman on top of that, is such a journey and it's such a huge compliment. And you're doing it too, and it speaks volumes.
Yes, thank you for that. I'm nodding my head and thank you. Thank you for that. So let's go ahead and dive into ancestry work because I know that's what people are here for, and I want to dive into it because I honestly I can only talk about my. I guess we should start there. Like, how did it start for you as far as like getting into ancestry work? Because for me, it was a little bit different, but I would love to hear your side on how it even started, or I guess your I don't know. I guess I don't want to say like your journey, but like that sounds so cliche. But at the same time, I kind of want to hear your journey about like how it got started for you and like what prompts you to do the practices that you're currently doing right now.
Oh, what a question, It's whenever someone says, "How did you start?" The emotions that go through me is so intense, you know? It's so intense. And like, I think sometimes a lot of this is to be fully transparent, because that's why we're here. The universe discovered me because I have gone through so much in my life, and finding, a spiritual practice, learning how to do readings, really honoring my intuition came through unfortunate circumstances. I'm not going to lie. I was at rock bottom. I was below rock bottom. I don't know where the lowest pit that you can go, but that's where I was, to the point that I started to having visions about the moon, but it happened in real time. Like, it was like some That's So Raven type of ish. I don't know if I could say that on this podcast, but it was very That's So Raven. And it was about 7, 8 years ago. And I remember just standing outside underneath the moon. And I remember seeing my mother. My mother passed at 8 years old. And I remember just seeing her. in visions, like as the moon itself, and protecting me when I was in a very toxic relationship. But to be honest, a lot of this happened. I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in the stars. I didn't believe in anything because my number one question was, how, if this is God is so real, this universe is so alive, why would they put a child through this? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I went, fortunately and unfortunately, I had a very intense situation. I apologize if this is triggering for anybody, but I actually overdosed and I flatlined. I completely
Oh my
flatlined.
gosh, girl.
Like there was no chance of me coming back. I was gone. And then hours later, it takes about a certain amount of time for the brain to fail and to be, considered gone. But no, I just got up and I just started walking around like nothing
What?
happened.
I
Yeah.
had no
Yeah. I
idea.
can't make it
Wow.
up.
Oh my gosh. Girl.
Yeah, I just got up. I started walking. The doctor, was actually yelling at me in my face. Like, there's no, we have to scientifically put something on this paper saying of what happened, and we don't know. And the doctor was upset. I've never seen a doctor yell at a patient, but he just left. Like, he just kind of slammed the door and left. And I was like, oop.
Whoa.
And when then my nurse came in, and the nurse was like, I don't know if you believe in God or angels or ancestors. I don't care. But there were many around you, around this bed. And I saw it. And he didn't say anything, but he left. And after that, I started to play with the idea of change. And that's where I began. I took a leap of faith. I moved to Texas with nothing but a backpack on my back because that's all I had left. And in this time, I just started having more and more visions in Texas, and that's how it all happened in a very short story. I picked up one tarot card deck because a friend said I should, and it came to me natural. The first moment I picked it up, it was like easy. It was like light work for me. So, and then I just discovered more and more and more, and now here I am going full blown witch, and it's in my DNA. It's who I am, and I haven't turned back since then.
Wow. That's so. First of all, wowzers, amazing. You're phenomenal. You need to be giving yourself more credit than you do because I had no idea that that was even part of your story. But I also like hear like how there's certain parts of your story that intertwines with mine as well. My father died with colon cancer with us knowing within a month, and then we didn't like had no idea, so he just like immediately died. And for me, I was like, well, I grew up in a church. We would go, church home. And when that happened, I was like, F God,
Hmm.
I don't want to be dealing with God anymore. Like, he could have taken murderers and like rapists, but he decided to take a man that doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, doesn't do any of those things. He stays at home. He's a good guy. What the fuck? So I literally was like, I'm out this bitch. I'm not dealing with church. F that. And I was very becoming very lost. I was becoming very in that dark energy, just didn't care about anything. I had my son, that was like the only thing I was caring about. But at the same time, I put myself into a abusive
Mm,
relationship that I was married to. So that abusive relationship was overcasting onto me and then to my son. And that the first
mm,
time that I know that my angels or someone in my spiritual council used my oldest and was like, Mom, you gotta try to change yourself and be a little bit happier and different because you're not who you used to be.
wow.
And so because of that, I started to really learn more about, mostly about like my paradigm. Like, I wanted to know more of the science aspect of it. Like, why am I thinking this way?
Mm,
Because I've never been an avid fan of like pills, so I knew I didn't want to take any pills. I wanted to do
yeah.
therapy, but it was hard finding a therapist that was not so much into pills. Like, it was just very hard, like finding a therapist that would
Mm,
be willing to talk about outside remedies other than just pill work. And so because of that, that's why I turned to like, well, I'm just going to learn more about the science of it for myself so I know what's going on with me and not have someone else tell me what's going on with me. And that kind of opened up
yeah.
the idea of me learning more about like, your reality, and then like, the paradigm, and like Bob Proctor, and like, positive thoughts and like self sabotage, like that just opened up that door for me. And then my son came to me again because at that same time I got into another relationship, but instead of it being physical abusive, it was starting to become very much an emotional, narcissistic abusive relationship. So I wasn't really healing from one aspect and I went into another toxic relationship. And then here comes my son again, my oldest, saying, Mom, you're not really, like, you're getting back to it. Like, you started working on it, but then you're going back to, the negative or like the depression kind of like
Mm.
anxiety stuff. And so I went back to practicing more
Yeah.
about that. And then I really started to dive into like energy work and what does spirituality mean, and energy, actually like learning more about energy and frequency
Yeah.
because of the paradigm understanding. That opened the door for me about spirituality and like how it's not a religion, but it's how you base upon it, but it's also energy and how energy transforms. And I'm just like, oh my God, like it literally was
Right.
like a
Right.
light bulb that went in my head. And when that happened, I would say probably like a month or two later, that's when I got my first visit from my dad that made me want to be like, holy shit, okay, this is, am I dreaming? It was a dream that I saw him and he was telling me
Yeah.
like, you got to get, you're going on the right path. Your work, like you've always been a fan of tarot. You've always been a fan of like the weirdness and like the unknown. He's like, this is real. I'm coming to you in a form to let you know that I'm not in pain anymore. Like I'm okay, honey. You can let me go. You can heal. But you're gonna start to
Wow.
see people that you don't know come into your life and allow these people to help you uplift in a
Mm.
different way. And I literally remember ever since that dream, I started to really
Wow.
pay attention to my dreams because that is the way that my family or spiritual counsel really does like contact me. So after that, I literally was like, okay, well, if I like tarot, I might as well pick up a deck and see where it goes. And that's where my love for tarot came in. I was a book nerd. I got a shit ton of books about like, the symbolism and like getting like the actual knowledge of tarot. But I was also like using tarot as
Mm.
a intuitive tool. Like I didn't like to look at what the book said. I just
Yes.
kind of wanted to shuffle and see what I was
Yes.
feeling, and going from that aspect. And so that's where my love for tarot came in. And then when my love like keep practicing that, that's when I started to hear like my other ancestors. And just a quick background, I don't know my dad's
Mm.
family. Don't know my dad's family. My dad's mom didn't like my mom, so because of that, she was like, I don't want to get to know the kids, and I don't want you bringing the kids to
Ugh.
our home because they lived
Oh
in
man.
Cali and we lived in Alaska. So I never grew up knowing my dad's side of the family. And then for my
Mm.
mom, her dad died when she was a teen, and then my grandmother died when I was like 3. So in my eyes, I don't really have like grandparents or anybody. I have like a few cousins and an aunt or two,
Wow.
and that's it. So that's like my family lineage,
Wow.
right?
I had no
Yeah,
idea.
so like I don't like have any family like that. So when I started to really get into like tarot,
Mm.
I had a great cousin come to me and she was like, I'm from your mom's side, the side of like the herbs and like the shamanism. And she's like, I want you to buy this
Mm.
deck. And she helped me find this deck through Amazon. She was like, that one, get this deck. You're going to start seeing more of your ancestors come throughout this deck. And as I just realized it, but like
Oh.
that deck is on my desk, and I just noticed that. Funny how the
Oh
universe
my
works.
gosh.
So that deck is called Spellcasting. It's the Spellcasting Oracle deck, and that's the deck where they taught me like spell
Mm.
work, but also like learning how to forgive and let go. My ancestors have really like, and I have to also say this, it's mostly been my mom's side. It's been like maybe the last 6 months that I've started to really hear my father's side come in now. But who the side of the family that helped me with tarot, understanding that in different ways, spell work, herbalism, candle work, also just meditation, all came from my mom's side. And it wasn't too just recently, like I said, like now my father's
Yeah.
side has started to like show up in different tarot readings. Like just the other day I had a great cousin from my dad's side really come in, and he was telling me about like what I'm supposed to be doing moving forward in my own path and like all this other stuff. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like y'all are crazy. Like, y'all just keep coming out of the woodwork, but it's so great to like feel it and hear it. But like, that's like my story and how like my ancestors and like my dad like kind of like pushed me into like this, I don't want to say profession, but like I guess my path, you know, like I had no idea, but you know, here I am every day loving it, picking up a deck. Like it feels weird not picking up a deck each day. Is that the same thing for you? Like it just feels a little odd not picking that up in like in a day.
Yes. So I was going to tell you, I love how we kind of have the same background. A little interesting message for you is, my mom is from Germany, and my both of my parents are have indigenous backgrounds, but my mother's from Germany. She's German, of course. So she was actually kidnapped at a very young age. So when she passed away, we had no idea who her real family was. And my father was a little bit of the black sheep of the family. My father's in prison for life now, which is a lot when you don't have both parents. But I want to just take a time to recognize the fact that both of us share, okay, we don't really have much family, but a part of our mission, and I know ancestrally they would want us to find the meaning of a soul family, because I
Yes.
know in the black community it's always surrounded by, blood is thicker than water. So I love how what happens when you don't have that choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you find yourself? How do you show up? How do you walk and show up as your ancestors, but you don't know them? And that's the key to this journey.
1000% agree, especially since we don't like, because I feel, I don't want to be, you know, side note to everyone if they have their family, but I felt a little jelly a couple times because I always saw people like having, you know, photos to look at or like even rituals to do. And for me, like I
Mm,
just didn't have any of that like to go back on. Like my mom is almost 70 something, so you could just imagine like how the age difference between
wow.
my her mom and you know her my grandma and her basically. And when like I was learning like all like my
Mm,
family lineage, I was like, no wonder there's no photos, no wonder there's no certain things like that I can like grab or have as my own, because there isn't any. And if there is any, they're gone to the
mm,
other kids, like you know my aunt and you know uncle, so they're not really given to me specifically, so I didn't have anything. And so for me, when I met them, I was very shocked, for one, because I'm like, what, like I don't have any family like that. And for them to be like, no, we are your family, we just, you know, we've been watching you for a very long time. And for them to guide me to find certain people, because
mhm,
like even for you, I've been telling you since day one, Keisha, like I literally feel like you and I have been, there's a reason why the universe keeps pushing us together, or like we keep like, you know, meeting in certain points in our destination. And I'm like, there's a reason for it. I think our ancestors know that we will provide
yeah.
or create or do something together for the collected, and or also for ourselves. Even this conversation right now is a manifestation that we talked about like a month ago, that we didn't even know how that would come about, but here we are sitting talking about them and like how it started. So it's amazing to me to know like
Yes.
how they do push us in a different way that we may not really understand it, but they do provide different types of knowledge. And I'm just curious, because we do have our ancestors and we're trying to learn more about that. My ancestors specifically have told me like, we don't want you to give us offerings, like we don't need you to do this, like you saying this is enough.
Mm,
Sometimes if I'm cooking, I will, and I made like a video about this on TikTok, where like I'm cooking and sometimes food just magically falls on the floor. That tells me that one of my ancestors is in the house, mostly my dad's side of the family. And then they'll be like, can I get like a cup of coffee or like a plate or something? I'm like, okay, bet, like I can do that for you. But
yes.
like 9 times out of 10, they're like, we don't need you to do anything. Like, we just, the fact that you're meditating, the fact that you're taking practice, the fact that you're doing this is enough. Like, we don't need that. And I'm just curious, like, does your ancestors do the same thing? Like, do they require you to do any type of setup? Do you do that for your altar? Also, just want to sit there and say, if you can't say it, you can absolutely say, I can't say that, because I get that. Sometimes they're like, don't say that,
Mwah.
don't talk about that. So if that's the case, let me know. But I'm just really curious, like, how do you really because it's a give and take, I guess. I want to say give and take, but it is a bond, it's a communion, it's a relationship that you're developing, right? And so if you're developing that
Yes.
relationship, how are they saying we would love for you to show up for us, and how do you then show up for them, if that makes sense?
Yeah, you know what? And I have been wanting to talk about this for a while because I can't even lie. Like a few days ago, I had to go ask my ancestors. I'm a Virgo sun, Aries moon, Capricorn rising. I want to make sure that things are very well put together. It's beautiful. You get what you need, and I'm showing up in an authentic way, and you're satisfied. Like an experience with me should be satisfaction, and I really want that for my ancestors because of everything that
Keisha,
they've
can you
done
hear
for
me?
me. But yeah. Oh, what happened, girl?
Okay, hi guys. I just need to quickly interrupt this interview right now. Um, this is where the audio issues started to go crazy for us during this interview, and we tried 5 times, and it kept like not working. And then what you're about to hear now is try number 6, and then it happens again. And then we kind of just took that as a sign that our ancestors were saying, hey, we this meeting is very important. We have other things to do, and they needed to give us a message first. And then, literally, as soon as we were done giving each other the messages that we needed to give, recording went back to as programmed, and there was no issues. So, this is just a prime example of how strong your ancestors could be working together to bring certain individuals in. Okay, so anyway, I just wanted to briefly just boop pause the episode and let you know what you're about to hear may sound a little weird and misjungled, but that is because we really needed to just listen to what they had to say. Okay, thanks. Okay, bye. So this leads me to a perfect segue, me asking you, how do you actually communicate or bond with your ancestors? Because again, for me, it's a little bit different, I'm sure, but I'm also very curious in how they collaborate with you, you collaborate with them. Do they ask you to put anything? Do you make an altar? I do know that some of that can be um, private. So if it's too private, or you get the energy of like, don't say that, or like, whatever, do your own discretion, because I don't want to overstep, but I would just also just love your point of view and how you actually connect with your ancestors.
I have been it's very different because I believe my ancestors have been the kind of people, like, I feel like ancestrally we're always just on the go, on the move, especially being a Harvey. Like, we're just someone who's moving, moving, moving. And honestly, with my ancestors, they just do a little bit different because some days they want me at the altar, some days they want me to listen to gospel music. Some days it's, don't do anything at all, like just rest, and they love to call me baby all the time. So it's always about rest. But as of lately, I really find the importance of making sure that my ancestors are hydrated. My mom's a Sagittarius through and through, and I have a lot of her spirit in me, especially as I've gotten older. I've taken a lot of that Sagittarius spirit, especially in my chart. And I've learned to just live and enjoy and have more fun. And my mom loved those little seltzer things, back in the day, before we have like all the Ranchua and Topo Chico stuff. So I always leave them little offerings, from water to coffee. My grandfather loved his coffee black, so did my mom. So I always leave black coffee, water for sure, just because it does absorb energy in my home. And also, what else do I leave? I do sometimes leave some alcohol at the altar because, my ancestors love to host. They love to be out, even if it wasn't big things. It was always like, I want to have a nice little drink and fruit. My ancestors love fruit, and my family has always been, half of my family's from New Orleans. So I usually sometimes leave a nice meal, but my ancestors are also very clean people. They don't like when I leave food at the altar. They don't like it unless it's just for a few hours. They're like, clean that mess up. And I remember sometimes they get sassy when they know I Me too. I've been doing the thing, and they're like, "Come on with the gratitude," but not in a crazy way. It's just humor, you know. And I remember I made them a cup of coffee once, and I like made it extra special. Put my little heavy whip in it because I don't like sugars, and I know they don't either. And I remember I heard in the back of my head, like, "Dang, she didn't even stir it for us. She just gave it to us and left it at the altar." So that's where we have been kind of at. Um,
Like shuffle the cards, and I picked up a deck, and they were like, just shuffle the cards. Do you guys want me to shuffle the cards? Okay, so they want me to shuffle. I'm gonna shuffle. I have my Ethereal Tarot deck right now. Okay, so the cards that came out, do you want the Knight of Cups? We have the Knight of Cups.
oh God.
We have the Ten of Wands upright. We have the Seven of Swords upright.
Oh God.
Right? When I see that, I'm like, what's going on?
No,
I just
honestly,
heard
Kendra.
burdens are being removed. Burdens. And we both, is this for both of us? I heard yes. This is both for both of us. Um, so with the wow, okay, so we have the Knight of Wands with the Five of Wands, that's together. And then we also have the Page of Wands and then the Ace of Wands. Damn it, there's a lot of fire. Good Lord. Is your mama coming through right now?
Honestly, all of my
Is your
grandparents
mama
are.
coming?
My grandfather's an Aries, my mom's a Sag, my grandma's a Capricorn. Everybody's Earth and Fire in my
Oh my
family.
gosh. I
Everyone.
feel like okay, I'm using my pendulum right now, you guys. I just want to confirm because I have a lot of voices talking right now, and then I have Keshia. So I just want to make
Hmm.
sure I'm hearing everyone correctly. Um, okay, is this what you guys wanted us to do? Is just to do a reading like this? I'm hearing yes, we just want you guys to sit down and just like talk. Like just talk. Okay. Is this reading for me and Keisha both right now? Yes. Um, I heard money is on the way. Finances are about to change. The struggle is no longer needed. The
Mm.
struggle is no longer going to continue.
Wow.
Be
Okay.
open for change. Be open for different opportunities coming in.
Mm.
I'm hearing because of our dynamic, there's new energy getting pulled to us specifically.
Oh shit.
Ooh, I heard like a podcast together. Like I just saw our names and I was like, what, like the cake? Like I saw KKs because our names start with Ks.
Yes.
They're and the pendulum just like it's just swinging so fast right now. They're like it's just new opportunities. I'm hearing. I heard new streams of income, botanica, ancestry, communication.
Mm.
Okay. I heard shuffle the card one more time. Before I shuffle, though, I do want to say at the bottom of the deck, wow. Bottom of the deck is the Four of Pentacles, and then underneath that is the moon. So I'm pretty sure to maybe say after today, since the new moon starts today, maybe that
Yes.
struggle is done. But before I do shuffle, okay, so going back to the cards on the table, we have the Knight of Cups, which is by itself, which I feel like that's them offering us something.
Mm.
And specifically, since it is in the Cancer new moon, the Knight of Cups is represented by Pisces. So I don't know if you know what Pisces, but I feel like
Yeah.
that just water energy, just like someone's handing us something through this because I wish you can see what I see, but like the card has a moon right behind his head. So there's just heavy on that moon energy again for both of us. It's
No,
really
I know.
prevalent. Um, the Ten of Wands and the Seven of Swords, what they're giving me for that is that our burdens of that physical burdens that we both have to kind of or that we both have been dealing with in the forms of like our finances, but most specifically our mindset is what's ending.
Wow.
And I'm getting a lot because of the Seven Swords. It's like an internal battle with this mentally, but then also trying to like fight our own, like how we make our money, I think is what they're trying to say.
Wow.
Like the battle between us, like how we make our money, the money that we wish we can have, compared to society, the barriers that comes up, because I'm looking at the Knight of Wands and I'm like, there's so many things up against us as spiritual individuals, and then as women, and then as cultural women. It's just
Mm-hmm.
there's so much of that backburn of like, how do we make our money the way we wanted to? And then when I'm looking at the Five of Wands, it's like that's an internal battle, because we're trying to provide and still be ourselves, but yet society is not really allowing us to be that or allow us to flourish the way that we want.
Yeah.
So then I'm looking at the Page of Wands, and the Page of Wands is making me be in the energy of like, if we look at our creativity, or look at us, our fire, our passion in a different way, then that creates a new spark. And that's the Ace of Wands right next to it.
Yes.
Okay, I see you people. I see family. I see you. With the Four of Pentacles right after that, I really just feel like this new moon is probably opening a lot of doors for us to see about our finances in a more passionate way that allows that constraint of that Four of Pentacles. Like, I have to, I can't. Oh my God. No kidding you, Keisha. The two cards that flew out together was the Hangman and the Tower. The other card that came out, so we got three major arcanas that came out. Actually, four when I think about it. We have the Hangman. It's in reverse though, but the Tower is upright. I feel like they're trying to tell us like we are about to get the knowledge that we need in order for us to get that like that like kind of disrupt, like this is what we needed. This is what was meant to happen. I don't know, because the other card that came out is the Devil.
Mm.
So I feel like what they're saying is like, don't get stuck in like, our old thoughts and old patterns. Like, it's not meant,
Yeah.
like we're not meant to go through that. And then at the bottom of the deck is the Magician upright, and then underneath that is the Hierophant.
Wow. Oh.
Right?
I don't even know what to say. I'm just like, here we go. I'm like, I know. I get it.
Okay.
It's very much giving tea.
Right? I just heard like, we want you guys to work together. Um I heard development, just development.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. I know for sure because I know
Uh
my ancestors are very, very, very loud when it comes to people that they don't want me to work with or don't want me around in general. And they love you. They really take to you a lot because you have just such an
Aw.
open spirit. And I know your ancestors feel the same way about me. I think because we're very big listeners and we care a lot. And that's really important, especially with what has happened in our lives individually.
Ditto. When you were saying that, I was shuffling, right? And the bottom of the deck, we got the Ace of Cups.
Mm.
We got the Ten of Swords, the World, and then the Three of Swords in reverse.
Ugh.
I feel like what they're saying with that is exactly what you're just saying, like how our energy is and how much maybe the mental and emotional pains that we absolutely had gone through in the past. I think we also probably just manifested like just genuine soul family like relationships. At least I know I did for
Yeah.
myself. And I purposely was like, I just want to only meet people that are going to uplift me in some capacity, rather than
Yeah.
dealing with people that want to bring me down or that are not on that same wavelength or frequency
Yeah.
that's about leveling up. And like, if you're about the drama, I don't want to deal with that. And I know for me personally, I had to, because my story, like I said earlier, like I didn't really have family. And
Yeah.
even though I'm the youngest of four kids, my oldest sister is like 20 years older than me. So I really don't know
Wow.
like my siblings, like when I was born, she was basically out of the house in the military. And my older brother, I think, is like 12 years older than me. And then it's my other brother that's 3 years older than me. So I only knew really like one brother. That's
Wow.
it. So like my friends were like my family. Like I really
Yeah.
was like, my friends were like my people, but then my people like abandoned me in the last
Yes.
like 6 7 years. So I have been literally like on my own as far as like family and friends for like at least over a decade, really. And I told myself, like, as I'm moving into my own spirituality, I only have space for people that have that same capacity for me.
Yes.
instead of it being like it's only one give or take. So I think that's what, when you were saying that, those are the cards that I got out. I'm looking at the World card, I'm looking at Three of Swords in reverse, to Ten of Swords, the Ace of Cups. It just literally feels like they really want us to. It was meant to be, love. That's all I feel like. It was meant to be.
Absolutely. I agree as well. It was definitely meant to be the way that it played out for sure.
Mm-hmm. Because now that I shuffled, we got the Two of Wands, and then we have the Three of Cups.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're celebrating. Like, this has probably been like a long time coming of like us just coming together and having this conversation. Because, Two of Wands, I'm just like collaboration with two, right? I'm just thinking like this is a good Bennett, like a good vibe. And with the Three of Cups here, I just feel like our family. Yeah, underneath that is the Eight of Wands. Oh my God, and underneath that is the Fool. Wow.
Oh,
Look at that. Like, that is just really beautiful.
yeah. It was the
Wow.
moment that was needed to kind of just simply connect. That's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love
Look at
that,
our
honestly.
ancestors. Look at that. Look at that. I know. I'm just like, oh, look at this. Look at them trying. Look at this. Oh, I
And they're
just like
very
that
clear
energy.
too.
Right? They're very clear. Let's see. Okay, what else are you trying to tell me? Okay, so I shuffled another deck, and this deck is kind of like the astrology alien astrology deck. Like, I combined three decks into one. That's kind of like how my spiritual counsel lately has been like, let's try different things. Um, so the cards that came out is Capricorn, and the card that's on the Capricorn, it says CEO, but like the CEO has like a million on it. So like $1 million sign. So the words that they're having me focus is on driven, stability, patience,
Oh, I
practical,
love that.
ambition, and materialistic.
Mm.
Then I have Mercury, and it says for thoughts,
Mm.
intellect, communication, information, research. And then they're putting us, because we have Virgo, so they're like Virgo, Virgo. And then Mars came out the card, and it says ambition. And all I'm
Mm.
getting is, because today is Mars energy, which is funny, today is Tuesday, so it is Mars. We have action, right? So much fire. Maybe this is what's getting pushed and indicated right to us, right? It says strength, action, determination, desire, and passion. Okay. Really?
God, I love Mars days.
Okay. Sorry, they were talking to me
Hmm.
while you were saying something. Um, so they said they
Yes.
want me to talk to you about something off the radio. So I will talk. Okay, I'll make sure to put that down.
Oh, I
Okay,
love
hold on.
that.
Um,
It's like the cards are so clear, the way that they're just communicating like with us.
oh my God, what's up? Okay, of course the pen doesn't want to work. Really?
Oh no.
Okay. Okay. Now, okay. Do you guys want me to keep shuffling? They said no, that was it. They said we can get back to our combo talking about them now. Okay. All right, cool. Okay. Well, that was very interesting. Thank you for that, spiritual counsel, ancestors. I'm pretty sure we're going to be diving in more to this afterwards, Keisha. So I guess we left off of basically you telling me how I know that now that we're talking about candle magic, so I know candle magic for you is for sure how they do it. So I'm just gonna shut up, and I would love to just hear like different ways that they like connect to you in different ways. I just want to hear it.
Well, everybody knows through and through, I am the fire witch. I work with earth and fire, and air and water have become good friends of mine because my ancestors love when I use all four elements in any ritual.
Yes. Oh my
So
God.
it's beautiful, and it's something that has been important to me to learn about myself. It's more important to like heal yourself with your magic. And before, I thought it was about business ideas and things, but I've realized how powerful I was through candle manifestations and cord cutting sessions when they taught me. And I remember, very much saying I was in a very toxic relationship. It was very narcissistic. It was probably one of the biggest, lowest points of my life. And they were like, it's time for you to do a cord cutting session. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's a Wednesday. It's 8 p.m. What do you mean cord cutting session? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't even know what this is. Like, they were like, go outside. And I was like, okay. And they just told me all of these ingredients, literally earth, air, fire, and water. And that was different at first. But when I first started doing cord cutting sessions, they were like, this is between you and us. This is in your ancestry. Keep it sacred on how you do this. And I remember until they gave me a little bit permission, and then I launched Witchcraft for Dummies, of course, later. Um, and I was able to share with a very select few people. But when I started doing it, it really helped me release. And when I started to add it as a service, I remember being able to see these emotions in the flame, and these people that they were cutting cords with in the flames, and not only just seeing them, but their entire journey together,
Mm.
which is very intense,
Ooh,
so
I can
it's
imagine.
it's beautiful, but it's also so much. And ever since, in that time, I've noticed that my ancestors show me how powerful I am. They allow me to do it. They want me to be hands on. They just guide me and they say, if you don't feel confident
Yeah.
enough, gain the confidence,
Yeah.
find it, because we didn't have that growing up. I didn't have any of these things. So they were like, learn how to heal yourself. Your mother loves
Hmm.
the ocean. Do you remember? Like they would show me visions of her out there with the surfers, and they're like, "Do you remember how you felt in the ocean? Go take a salt bath." And I'm like,
Oh
ah.
my
So
gosh.
it's just it, and or then I learned freezer spells, all of these things, working with the salt and the water element. So it was just the way that they have always approached me with rituals have been because of what I have been going through. And my ancestors have made it very clear, like, we struggled and we survived, but you're here to live, and not for us, but for you to see what life is truly about. And with your courage, and even if you need that courage through us, we will show you how to live, and live in a way that is of truth. And you may not have many friends, and many people will challenge your beliefs and your faith because you love God so much. But biblically, how can, they say, God doesn't like these things, Jesus doesn't like these things. And that's not true. And in these rituals, I've also found Him, and He has taught me a lot of that too. And that's an ancestor just as much as, Jesus being an ancestor is also a very big topic to talk about too.
Oh, let's dive into that because I was like, well, before we dive into that, I just want to say too, my family, like, I love elemental magic. That's probably like the number one thing that I love. I do love fire because, candles. I love doing incense. But I also, I guess I'm all over the place, but I do love elemental magic. Like that, I just want to point that out. Like, we have that in common too. Like, using the elements around us to really heal. And that's probably one of the ways that they've been helping me with my rituals too, is like, you already know how to do a lot of shit. Like, why you acting like you don't know how to heal? We didn't have that either. They were like that too, like a little tough. Like, come on, think about it. We didn't have pen and
Yeah.
paper. We didn't have the things that you had. All we had was earth, water, and the
Yes.
basics. So utilize the
Yeah.
basics in your practice. You don't need all those fancy things to get the things
Right.
done. It's all about your intention. So what is your intention? And that
Right.
was like really pushed me like, okay, you're right. Like, and that's why I kind of teach these people too. Like when they ask me things, I'm like, you don't need all this stuff though. Like when I teach my clients, like especially, I have one client that we do like every other week. We do healing stuff with like her feminine, and then the other week we do spiritual work, and like she wants to learn more about rituals and stuff. And I'm like, you don't
Mm.
need all that fancy stuff. Like all you need is yourself. The intention is everything. The intention is the only thing. If everything else
Yes.
amplifies it, yes. Everything has its property, yes. But like it's all within your own energy. So I just think that's very cool that both of our family members have taught us that same kind of rhetoric. Use what you got, and then then we'll see where you go from there. You can add more things in, but it's most important, like, use it. You got it. So,
Yes. And you know what? Another thing, my ancestors have always let me know, because I started to be kind of defined by my tarot cards and the things that I need. And my ancestors are like, no, you need to roar. You need to understand that you don't need these tools. This is divination. You are the living word. You are the
Mm-hmm.
manifestation. It's your hands. And that's another reason why people know me for my long acrylic nails and everything. That's ancestral too. My ancestors have always said, take care of your hands. Your hands are your magic. Whether you're man or woman, take care of your hands, because your hands are a big source of what your ancestors, of their pain, of their trauma, of their love, of so much more, cooking and all. Like, use your hands more. And that's the real power, with intention, of course.
Yes. I'm sorry. I just got a download. I just got
You're so
another
silly.
download. Okay. Okay. No, I absolutely agree with you because I've never okay. I never really no, I have to go back. I liked getting my nails done like a long time ago, but I stopped it because of like bills and like other things are going on. So I was like, I'm not going to worry about my nails particularly. But
Hmm.
then recently I got a like nudge, I think back in April, that my family was like, "Can you please go get some nails done? Even if it's just like those press on nails, can you please just go like take care of it?" And like ever since then, I've been like, I need to get my nails done. And they're like, it's a vibe, Candace. Like, and they say the same thing, like your hands are everything. Because for one, I love doing palmistry, or like I'm teaching myself palmistry right
Mm.
now. And so I've been working with like energy stuff and like just practicing and honing in on my own energy. So when you said that about like your hands, I'm like, yes, I was nodding my head so hard, like, yes, that is so important. Like the energy of your hands is absolutely important. The nails and how long the nails are actually more important too. I've learned that that's connection to the spiritual realm and like how you're connected. So
Hmm.
it's all in one. So I absolutely just 1,000% agree with you about the hands and the energy. Like it's yeah, I
Yes.
absolutely yeah.
And I just feel like, our ancestors want us to show up in a way that is authentic to us. So I feel, my ancestors haven't really been, I know a lot of people's ancestors are very strict about how they should show up, what they leave at the altar, don't touch the money at the altar, et cetera, et cetera. But my ancestors have always just operated differently, because I think it's the respect that I was
Yeah.
raised with. I asked them for permission. They have shown me to show up in a very, no, I don't want to say like corporate baddie business professional way, but you can still be yourself, but make sure when you show up, people never forget you. And that has
Yeah.
something that has followed me and is what really honors your ancestors and what really brings success, because they just simply want you to show up. They got the
Yeah.
hard part down.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. Like that's been my family's whole big thing too. Like we just want you to show up, and the fact that you show up despite everything that's going on with you, you're not allowing other things to really overcast you like how it could. You're
Yes.
showing up, you're being yourself. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like they don't really ask me for certain things. It's more or less like you're showing up, that's enough. You've done a lot of barrier work, you've done a lot of like ancestry work as far as like cutting off the ties and breaking generational cycles. So the best thing that we want you to do is just keep leveling up the way that we want to see you leveling up, and then showing up the way that you want to show up. Like I don't like when I hear people say they have so many rules or their ancestors give you rules. I'm like, I just don't know that because my ancestors aren't like that. Like they're not so rigid or it has to be one way or you can't derive from it. And when I try to teach my people, it's like the same thing. You have to listen to them. Absolutely. Like whatever their feedback is, you should be
Yes.
listening to them because that's your ancestors. They're not mine. So just want to put that out
Yes.
there to the people listening. Like, listen to your family. Like, they're guiding you because they know what's best for you and what that assets would be than what I could be. But for
Right.
me, like, my own family hasn't really been like super strict and having to follow like certain rules other than be yourself, learn more, try to
Yes.
embrace your mindset in a different way, try new things, try this, try more elemental magic, or do get outside of the realm and like try to think differently about what you want to do for you and the culture. But it's not necessarily like it has to be this way or the highway. So,
Yes, I
yeah.
agree 100%. Because this is like, I tell people, when it comes to spirituality, I want, and spiritual practices in general, I'm so passionate about it because the way that I was raised and a lot of the people that I have come across in this world and that have been in my own individual world have told me how I need to show up, what I need to do. This is the right way to do it. And it takes away from your individuality, your connection to the universe, your connection to your ancestors, to yourself. So, you know, discovering spirituality is not one way. You know, that's why I tell people connect, listen to yourself, what feels good. And you'll be so shocked of how many people I have met my mentor meetings and everything where they're like, I don't really know like what my ancestors want or how to connect. And I'm like, well, what do you feel? And they're like, I don't know. I've Googled. And I'm like, no, no. Sometimes your ancestors want nothing. Sometimes they just want you to talk to them, you know, or visit a place that's familiar. It does not have to be very complicated. Now, if they are like that, then sure. But I do want to say, when it comes to ancestors, I have to tell you guys, you know, I come from black, indigenous, and white. You know, not all of my ancestors are the best people, and so all of your ancestors aren't the best people. And did all of them learn? No, they did not. So I always call on my ancestors of wisdom who love me, who protect me, and that serve my highest good. Because coming from, you know, my mother being white, my father being black, you know, a lot of my family on my dad's side didn't like my mom. They treated her very, very poorly, all because of her skin color. So I know that there are plenty of ancestors on, especially on my mom's side, on the German side, oh goodness, that aren't the best, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
having that protection and that discernment is easy. It just takes one prayer. That's it. That's all you got to do.
Oh, yeah. And I would secondhand that, like, everything that Keisha just said, I double down on that. I double down on that. I would love to actually go back to how you were talking about Jesus being your ancestor. I would love to dive into that real quick because I feel like a lot of people, I felt that energy. Like we should circle back real quick, and I'm just gonna listen to what you say, and then I'll rebuttal. So, can you elaborate a little bit more, my love, about that?
Mm. Oh, well, this topic, it makes me so emotional. Just like even just his name. I never had a healthy relationship with him, and I know most people don't, especially if you were raised, you know, Catholic or Baptist or you know whatever. You know, it's very much go to church, you know, do your thing. You kiss his feet for eternity, and I was like, let me tell you something, girl. Why did I, at the hot age of 10 years old? This is how you know I am the way I am. I went to church and I asked my aunt and I was like, so, you know, what is heaven like? And they were like, well, once you die, you just go to heaven and you praise him and kiss his feet for eternity. And I was like, that sounds boring. Like, I'm not trying to go, and I still hold that. And I still to this day, I know Jesus laughed at that because Jesus was not like that. And I'm gonna get straight into it. Jesus was over here flipping tables. He was partying. He loved to drink wine. He loved food. He was over there cussing people out. He told people, even when he was crucified, you know, regardless if you guys believe in him or not, you can always exchange this name with another higher power that you feel, you know, that deems worthy. You don't have to force this, but it's just some insight for those who are wanting to build that. Even when he was crucified, he said, Father, like, why are you doing this to me? Look at these people. My best friend betrayed me, and I knew he was lying because Jesus was, I mean, he was Jesus, but he also hung out with psychics, with witches, with outlaws. Like he loved those people, prostitutes and all. He was not judgmental. He loved those people
Hmm.
and he loved their authenticity and their love for him, which is the most important thing. So he did this. He was like, why would you do this to me? You know, and the reason why I say Jesus is an incredible ancestor, even if you don't know your family, he is because, you know, I see why God be over here flooding the earth and like kind of wants to kill everybody because with the way my Aries moon is set up, I be getting so mad at the stupidity and the audacity of people nowadays.
Right.
So Jesus is like, listen, don't do this because I roamed with these people. And yes, there are many bad in this world, but there are so much good. And the people who believed in me, who supported me, who were my friend, who was with me when I was alone, like, Jesus survived. Jesus went through so much that we go through now, and he understands that. And that's why I say he is the ultimate ancestor, because he feels our pain. When we cry, that pain that we sometimes feel in our hearts is his too, because he doesn't like us seeing, like, being that way. And I think Jesus has a special connection to the ones who are like us, because regardless of what church says, or what the people, you know how many times I've been told I was going to burn in hell, or the witchcraft that I've done is evil, when I'm just over here just trying to help you find yourself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But Jesus is like, listen, your path is not going to make sense. But as long as you do what you are meant to do, not what I'm telling you to do, but what you're meant to do, and what brings you fulfillment, you will not fail, and you will live the life that you're meant to live. And that life will not make sense to people, but your life hasn't made sense since birth. So do you, and just don't forget about me in the process, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would first of all, I just love the way that you were describing Jesus. I think that's super funny. But I think people have this connotation, especially if I don't know. I grew up in a Christian home, so I understand the whole like this is what he this is the character that has been told to us numerous times. But I was also the kid in
Mm,
church that was questioning everything, like, but why we got to do this, and that doesn't make any sense, and why would he say that but then do this? Like the actions that he did didn't match up very well. So for me,
mm,
like I believe in him. I still believe in him. I don't have any issues with that at all. I think it becomes more a different conversation when people start to push him on you, or they start to tell you
right.
about your practice and how that's more demonic. Or even yesterday I was on live and someone told me like, well, you're talking about crystals and crystals are demonic. And I said, how is something that
Mm,
was grown in the earth is demonic?
yes.
I need that to make
Yes.
sense to me. That doesn't, I don't understand. I'm very lost on that aspect. But there's a lot of people out there
Mm,
that are like that think that. So, when I heard you say that, I just wanted, I wanted that dialogue to be open because I think people have this negative, especially if you go from one thing to another, like Christian to spirituality. Some people may think I may have this negative connotation about Jesus or anything like that. I just think there's
mm,
a lot of people have put a lot of this high standard on this person when he was just a human, or he was just an individual that was
yeah.
trying to experience life, and he just wants you to do the same thing. He's just showing you different lessons throughout the Bible and how people kind of messed up and how he helped them kind of turn around. But I don't think you justifying certain things like sexual orientation, or even now with like the abortion stuff, to like kind of go back to like this is what Jesus said. I think that rhetoric is very not a great way to start or have a conversation with people, or have that genuine conversation. So when people
Yeah.
hear about Jesus, some people, especially if they left that, they can get very negative. And I've seen a lot of people, I don't know if you have, but I've met a few spiritual
Mm,
people where they're automatically demonizing him or the image that he possessed or that he carries, as if it was
yeah.
demonic itself. And it's kind of like, well, then I think you're kind of wrong in that aspect too, because we are all God. God is within us. God is everywhere. So
Yes.
you thinking that kind of stance is kind of also not incorrect. Have you ever like met anyone that spoke about that or talked like that? Because I get them a lot. So I don't know, maybe that's just like my energy they're flocking to me in that
Yeah.
aspect. But I do tend to get that a lot. Damn. Did it stop again? Of course. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I technology has not been a fan of ours this entire time. We have been chit chatting for about like on and off about 2 hours, and I don't know how we're going to end this podcast, but I think we're going to end it in a just a pause and say we are going to continue it in a different format or another time, because I think the energy from our ancestors and our spiritual councils, like I think we needed to convert together privately, family. And now that we've done it and we come together to kind of finalize this episode, because I didn't want to just leave it the way that we left it, the way technology has not allowed us to finish like a sentence or anything. I just know that our spiritual energies are saying we have to convert on the outside of this platform on different ways, but I know this is going to be a continuation eventually for both of us to come together and talk more about ancestors. But I guess before we leave, Keshia, what would be one thing that you would like to tell the audience about ancestry work? If it's one thing that you want to have them give a take from today, what would be the last thing you would like to say?
I definitely say take your time. And honestly, Candace and I have both learned that in this session today.
Yeah.
Your ancestors, it's true. Your ancestors want you to move with intent and with energy and patience and with grace. So if there's anything on you guys' minds, heart, and spirits that you're being called to, the best way to honor your ancestors is to honor yourself. More importantly, because yes, when we talked about altars, we talked about offerings, we talked about Jesus and all these things, but I guess the last thing I want to say is, how are you honoring yourselves? And that's how you can start to connect with your ancestors. So sit with that question, let it move you, let it change you, and if you ever have trouble connecting with ancestors, ask how you would want to be connected with. Would it be prayer? Would it just be chilling, hanging out, eating a meal with your ancestors? Would it just be just chilling, watching TV? Like, I really want to encourage you all to connect with them that is authentic to you and with love and with grace, because a lot of us feel alone in this world right now. A lot of us are all going through it in different ways. So this is just further encouragement for you to connect, to remind you that you're not alone and that you have this whole team around you, that a lot of those miracles come from, all of them come from your team. So just keep that in mind. Keep pushing, you guys. No pressure. Just remember, just love. All love, all love, all love.
I love that. And I'm going to double down on that and also just say they just want you to be yourself anyway, and they just want to connect. So if you're trying to meditate or connect to them in any kind of way, just speak it out loud. They're always listening, they're always there. They're always there guiding you in some capacity, even if you don't feel them or sense them or you don't think that they are there, they are. So just be open to receiving whatever messages that they do have for you, because you never know what they can bring forth to you. I mean, I can say that just about us two together today, us hanging out and chit chatting on and off the podcast. It's been a way for them to kind of have us talk in a different way. And that is what I know we needed to further along our friendship that's blooming. So just take a sense of like what it is, be yourself, and allow the energy to flow through. Don't force it. Allow them to come in, however they come in. Just be open. And
Amen.
that's what I would say. Yeah. So that's going to be the end of today's episode. I hope you guys really did enjoy this chaotic but interesting conversation about ancestors and spiritual work in that instance. Keshia, would you like to tell people where they can find you on the social platforms, or if there's any sales that you're going on right now? Lay it down, sister. Let them know.
Yes, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram, TikTok. Those are my main accounts that I'm on right now. You guys can follow me at Moon Metamorphosis. There's no periods, no exclamation points, just Moon Metamorphosis. My Etsy sale is still going on until July 6th, 40% off, because you know what? Even to bring in ancestors on that, everybody knows about inflation. It matters. So you guys can book, your cord cuttings, readings, energy healing sessions, coaching, anything that you guys need and more. And the best part about me is that I always leave it open for you guys to let me know what you need. So even if it's just a little coaching on ancestor talks and connecting and manifesting and healing, I got you guys through and through. I'd love to connect. I'd love to meet you guys. You're a part of my purpose and you're the living word, and we're going to do this together. We got this.
Hey. Well, I love that. Thank you so much, Keshia, for being here. And I'll catch you guys at our next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.